I was wondering about the Avatar saga that went down. I recently had a look back at just some snapshots from the film Avatar, and I heard that there was some possible plagiarism issues. But now that I've really gone back and looked, there is absolute, like, the whole world seems to be modeled off your creative practice. I mean, how did that feel?
Well, it felt two things. One reaction was very negative. I thought, my God, they've plundered my life's work for this.
Mm.
And the other was, my God, my work looks fantastic on the big screen.
I mean, it looked great, I have to say. I'm not sure if you want to hear that, but yeah, it was an
Yeah.
incredibly visual, beautifully visual film. But
Well, we set about suing,
mm,
um, and we had a judge who ruled that he saw no similarities, but he jumped through a few hoops to get to that position. And we had one copyright academic immediately write saying the judge got it wrong. Yeah, I I think that's right. The judge got it wrong. But we just had no more resources to go on. And my lawyer said I might need to find some sum, and I forget why it was, but it was about $1.5 million
mm,
in 30 days if I wanted to pursue this. And there was
wow.
just no way to find that at that time. So nowadays it would be different. There's ways, and I know more about doing that. But yeah, did they copy? The answer, in my view, is of course they did.
Yeah, I
The
think it's undeniable. I mean, the more I was looking at it, I mean, even the dragons that they fly have that the pattern work in the wings seems to be pattern work that you've done. The huge arches that are also covered with kind of moss. You've got floating rocks. You've got waterfalls coming down. I mean, I found it really. It just seems like it all came down to one judge, didn't it?
Well, let me explain that. It's too boring to go into too much detail, but
Mm,
I'll give you it in a nutshell. They didn't defend themselves on the basis of saying we didn't copy. They
mm,
didn't make copying either. I have to make that clear. Their position was essentially we didn't copy, but even if we did, we only copied things that in law we're entitled to copy, i.e., things you yourself have copied from nature. That was their position. Now, what the judge did is interesting. He summarized the basic copyright law, which says if an ordinary person can see a substantial similarity, then it's a copy.
mm.
So we had 3 million people who saw a substantial similarity. And, there was no way that could have been their defense that they didn't copy. They, 3 million people saying a substantial similarity. Then you had the issue about it being they only copied things they copied from nature required a lot of me showing 6 or 7 points they copied faithfully that I didn't copy from nature. I changed. Now the judge on that first thing said the works taken as a whole, if an ordinary person can see a substantial similarity, it didn't allow for explanation or detail. So he dismissed some of my evidence on the basis that it was explanation and detail, because that is not how you do the normal copyright thing. You have to do the works taken as a whole. But as I said, this wasn't a normal copyright defense. Their defense was that they only copied things that I copied from nature. And all my detail and explanation was to show how they copied things that I changed from nature.
Mm,
So I think it was a flawed ruling.
mm.
He's a
I
federal
mean,
judge.
yeah, like I said, I mean, the film, I'm sure you don't love hearing this, but the film looks fantastic. And it's just such a shame that a film that I think they grossed almost like 3 billion, like in the billions. It's just such a shame that they didn't actually include one of the main sources of inspiration in that, whether it's consulting or yeah, I don't know, crediting you or however that comes. So yeah, it's a real shame that the judge didn't see the correlation.
Production designer himself acknowledged that he studied my work and referenced it in the making of the film. And he made a comment like, floating mountains, where else would you go? You know, it was